Hmm. Hello. Welcome to day 11 of 99 Days of Deeper Embodiment. My name is Jason King. Welcome. Welcome if you're just joining for the first time or if this is something that you've been following. I really welcome you to stay. I invite you to stay. This is a really special gift of moving deeper into embodiment of the self. And when I say the self, what I'm referring to is the truth, what is real, as in oneself, with a capital S, what the sages refer to as the self, what I relate to and see as the self. I don't see many selves. I see one self moving at all, always. And so when I refer to embodying the self, this is what I mean. Embodying in the realization, embodying the realization, embodying realizations of the self at a deep level. The deeper embodied one is, the more one registers only the self, in the sense that the felt sense is a felt sense of oneness. The felt sense is a felt sense that there is nothing apart from me, there is nothing separate from me. The felt sense is a felt sense of wholeness and completeness. It's a sense of here-ness. It's a sense of now. It's a sense of being present, always, in now. A thoughtless presence. This is what comes through with deep embodiment. The less embodied one is, the less ability there is to shift reality in any way at all. And so it's interesting because there's a lot of movement in spiritual practices towards wanting to shift reality, wanting to manifest what you want, wanting what you want, wanting to complete your desires. And so a lot of what moves us into spiritual practices in the first place is a beginning recognition that there is the ability through practice to shift my reality. There is the ability through practice to manifest what it is that I would like. And so this is what I would describe as a funnel towards awakening. It is something that attracts one towards understanding more about the mind and how the mind works, understanding more about what abilities there are. What can I actually do? And they say that the yogi is at first attracted to the cities or the gifts of embodiment, of deep realization. And yet the gifts are not important because they get in the way of deeper embodiment, you see. It's the desires themselves that get in the way of seeing clearly what is. Because if I put a desire in front of my ability to see, because a desire is a thought, then that immediately blocks my ability to see what is. What is thought free presence. It is always. And in thought free presence, you are unborn. I am unborn. Pure awareness. Always free. Never limited. And so an idea comes up that says, I want this. This is what I want. In whatever form that desire shows up. And when I pick it up, I put it in front of my ability to see what actually is. The thought comes and it shows up in front of my ability to actually be present here. And when I say see, it is a seeing through awareness, not a seeing through the eyes. It is a seeing through consciousness. You are seeing through consciousness all the time. You are aware all the time. As you scan your body, you are aware. As you feel the sensations that are in your foot, you're aware. As you feel the sensations that are in your hand, you are aware. As you register the sensations that are creating what you call sight, you are aware. That is what I refer to as seeing. So if I focus on a desire that is there, then I'm focused on an idea. And when I focus on the idea, then I lose sight of the spacious awareness that I am. And so this is where it gets important to really follow what I'm pointing at here. because it has to do with your ability to deeper embody. If the desire is to not feel pain, if the desire is to stop feeling pain, then in reality, you have put an idea in front of what is. And you are actually avoiding seeing what is real. You are covering it up. So any movement that is a movement created by the desire to not feel pain, that is covering up what is. And this shows up in many, many forms. And in every moment that it shows up, it is avoiding seeing what is. It is avoiding dropping into being fully present here and now. Because the movement is away from the pain. What is does not have any movement at all. It simply is. There is no movement towards, there is no movement away. It is simply present. So this becomes an important teaching to really become clear about when we're discussing deeper embodiment. And why is deeper embodiment something that we would want? Because without the resource energy of presence, without the resource energy of being embodied, of having deep presence in the body, then we have no ability to shift what's here. If there's a trauma arising, if there's a very dense idea arising, if there's a very limiting thought that's present, without deep awareness, without the focus on what's real, there is no ability to actually meet it and to be with it, which shifts it. And so when we do not have the ability to self heal the body, that is an indication that there is very little embodiment. There is very little true embodiment. When a being is highly embodied, then any ideas of illness that show up can be brought immediately into the void, into nothing. They are immediately cleared out. And so when what we're seeing is illness show up in the body, that is an indication that there's very little actual embodiment. And this runs counter to what many believe. Many would believe, oh, I'm very embodied. Who's saying that? The deeper embodied one is, the more presence there is, there's less to prove. There's less to show. Presence does all the speaking in the silence itself. And so, a lot of talk about healing wounds, meeting traumas, paying attention to the wounded is just that, talk. And in that talk is largely avoidance. Because when one is really ready, then they drop the story around it and get deeply rooted in presence, because that is where the real healing is. That is where the real transformation is. That is the solution to it all. And so, of course, there's a reaction against this that comes up. It says, no, I don't want presence. No, I don't want that. Because then I actually have to feel through and release eventually what I've been holding on to for so long. And so instead, we create happy spaces around us. We decorate a room and make that our happy space. And here in my happy space, I can be me. But if I have to leave my happy space, then it's too difficult. Then there's too much trauma. Then there's too much to feel. Then all the avoidance comes back up again. And if someone comes into my happy space and they treat me badly and they trigger me, then they're the devil and they need to be exorcised. And so we can see this playing out on a grand scale when we look at something like Donald Trump. The reaction against him is this reaction. Oh no, he's the devil. We must exorcise him. He triggers me. He makes my life a living hell. He is miserable. Okay, okay. I understand what you're feeling. I understand that. But he's not doing that. You are feeling that, but it is not him doing it. And so, in feeling that, it is an invitation to be more present. In feeling that uncomfortability, it is an invitation to become more aware here in your body, to focus deeply on what feels like an energy of security that you are being held, that is always there. And so, if there are strong sensations arising in one part of the body that don't feel pleasant, then I can bring my awareness to the rest of the body and I can focus on the sensation of being held in the rest of my body, creating more resource energy, creating a rootedness, a groundedness, a here-ness. And with that rootedness, with that groundedness, then I can actually meet those sensations that are arising. I can actually be with them fully without resisting them, without being crushed by them. And so we're now ready for this level of awareness. We're now ready for this degree of discussion on consciousness. It is actually critical because what everyone in the collective is feeling is a tremendous amount of tension, lots of ideas. And so when one is deeply embodied, those ideas simply pass right on by. They are felt and they are burnt in the fire of awareness. They're felt fully and burnt up, dissolved in the fire of awareness, in the fire of deep, deeply embodied presence. So one who is embodied is feeling all of it. There's no identification with it. There's no ownership of it. There's no making it anything at all. It is not my trauma. It is simply ideas that are showing up. And in the presence that I hold, they dissolve. They are freed, if we want to express it that way. Because we can look at it as, and this is one way of seeing, as a lot of ideas within mind, very, very dense ideas within mind, that have been floating in the collective for many, many, many generations, have had nowhere to go because there's been no one willing to actually become present. And so I welcome questions around this topic. I sincerely hope that you're taking the time to actually feel into what is being shared here, and that any questions that arise, perhaps you want to share them, because this can really help you hone in on what is in front of your own embodiment. What ideas are there that are in front of your own embodiment? Now, remember what was said earlier, that the reason why you want to embody more is so that you can meet fully the life that is here. And the life that is here is way, way, way bigger. It is much more than the pretty spaces that your mind has been imagining. The safe spaces that your mind has been imagining. And so these ideas about having enough money to travel the world and to eat good food and to be with people that are fun and people that resonate with you, these ideas about creating your own reality, these ideas about having relationships with people, lovers perhaps, that are fun and in alignment, all of this is limiting. It is extremely limiting because it is all based on ideas of what you've already seen, of what you think this is. And so, what is really being done is you're just spending a lot of energy trying to create safe spaces instead of dropping into getting to really know who you are and what this really is. And in order to do that, one must become willing to let go of the ideas. One must see that every desire that shows up is a limitation, and get very clear about what it is that is desired truthfully, what is truly desired. The only desire that makes sense. And we can call it something different because it's not really a desire at all. However, all the other desires that show up are something that is showing up that is a replacement for it. It's an invitation saying, okay, this will give you what it is that you really want. And so it is showing up as an invitation for what it is that you've really been looking for. And what you've really always been looking for is yourself, deeply embodied. The feeling of wholeness and completeness, deeply embodied. All of the ideas that show up, all of the desires that show up that say that you need something external to you are just showing you where you're not embodied. And so when I say the idea shows up as an invitation, asking you to follow it, what it's really pointing to is where you're not embodied, where there is an idea that you're not whole and complete, and there is the opportunity to more fully become present. I hope this brings a lot more clarity around the topic of deeper embodiment of the self. Please take this video and really connect with it. Really connect with what is being shared here today. There is a tremendous gift here for you. Thank you so much for joining. I welcome you to continue to join. I welcome you to send me any questions or just chat. I'm here for you. Have a wonderful day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Bye bye now.